Hello everyone, in this video we are just going to develop cooperative scheduler. Let's get started. So in the previous video we just tested the developed round robin scheduler where each thread right over here, task 0, task 1 and task 2 will be running for a quanta amount of time. That is, here we have provided the quanta value to be 2. So let's change it to be 10. Now the each thread right over here will be running for the quanta time of 10 millisecond each. So that is round robin scheduler. And let's try to understand what is cooperative scheduler. Let's take the task 0 right over here. It is having the incrementing of task 0 runner variable and light on. It may take 10 millisecond. But let's take the task 1 and task 2, which has only task 1 runner incrementing and task 2 runner incrementing. So this incrementing process just takes 1 or 2 milliseconds, let's say. But it also runs for 10 milliseconds each. This task 1 runs for 10 milliseconds and task 2 runs for 10 milliseconds. And the rest 8 milliseconds, it is wasting the processor or operating system time. So for avoiding that wastage of time in round robin scheduler, you can develop a cooperative scheduler voluntarily to release the control to the next thread. That is, once after performing the incrementing operation right over here, the cooperative scheduler will yield the processor to the next upcoming thread, irrespective of the quanta time. So that is called a cooperative scheduler. It is meaning like, as the name says, it will cooperate once after the thread is complete. The current thread will cooperate to yield the processor to the next thread once the process inside the current thread is complete, so that it will not waste the rest of the time or the rest of the quanta time in round robin scheduler. So that is called a cooperative scheduler. So for doing that, let's try to build a function right over here. I'm just writing about this function void RTOS thread release. It receives nil parameters. The first thing that we are going to do right over here is we just want to understand that the sysdig handler is the one which will actually switch from one thread to other. So using that sysdig triggering process, you can yield the processor to the next thread by calling this particular function. So let's say we are just going to call this function inside the task 1 and after the incrementing process right over here. So after this incrementing process 1 or 2 milliseconds, we are just going to call this particular function, so that this particular function will release the processor to next thread to execute, that is this task 2 to execute. So that we can do. Now for doing that, we just want to release the processor, or we just want to trigger the sysdig handler for releasing the processor. So first step that we want to do is clear the current value register of sysdig peripheral, trigger the sysdig. So for clearing the current value register of sysdig, you can write like val equal to 0. For triggering the sysdig, let's go to the MOM Cortex M user manual, and in the user manual go to the page number. You can see there is a register called interrupt control and state register on page number 413. So which is in the address of 0x E000 ED04. So we just want to define this register above. So here I am just going to define the interrupt control register in the address of this one. and I'm typecasting this to volatile event 32 underscore t pointer, and as a whole we are just typecasting it into another pointer. So that's it. As a whole also I'm just typecasting it into a pointer. So now I can write to this particular register, right, like calling this macro name, and coming to the user manual of ARM Cortex, go to the register ICSR, and in this register you can see the bit number 26, that is pend st set. Pend st set is nothing but systic exception set pending bit. So this is the set pending bit for systic peripheral. If it is 0, no effect. If it is 1, changes the systic exception state to pending. Even if it is not pending, if you give 1 right over here, this will set the systic exception to pending state so that it will occur. So this is the register for doing that. That is interrupt control and state register. A set pending bit for non-maskable interrupt exception, set pending and clear pending bits for pend SV and systic exception. So this is the register. So I can set the bit number 26 right over here. Now I have extended the scope of this particular function in RTOS kernel.h file. You can see clearly. And now I am just going to call this particular function inside the, let's say, task 0 instead of this UART, right? Or I will comment out this and I will call this function. So what happens here is it will task 0 will come inside and the thread will be running the incrementing process. Once after the incrementing process, it will release the thread to the next task. So each task right over here, task 1 and task 2 will run for 10 milliseconds for incrementing those variables. Task 1 will increment this task 1 runner variable for 10 milliseconds. Task 2 will increment the task 2 runner variable for 10 milliseconds. But this particular task 0 only does it once per quanta, because after incrementing we have released the processor to the next thread. So it will be way much lower value than these two variables. That is, task 0 runner variable will be way lower value than task 1 runner and task 2 runner, because those two variables are running for 10 milliseconds each, and this will be running for once for 10 millisecond quanta. So I am just building this project. Built a successful, right click, debug as STM32C C++ applications. I am moving to the Cube IDE's debug session. View. Flashing is successful. Switch. Now when I run this, you can see when I am stopping this, task 0 runner is having the value 177, but task 1 runner is having around 28,22,109, and the task 2 runner is having the value 28,15,119 as the value. So task 0 runner is running only once for each 10 milliseconds quanta time, but task 1 runner and task 2 runners are running and incrementing the variables for the full quanta time of 10 milliseconds each. So once after the incrementing is done in one quanta time, we are releasing the processor to the next thread in task 0. So this particular operation or the task 0 is happening only once in a cooperative manner when you provide this function call or when you release the processor to the next thread, and this is called a cooperative scheduler thread. And I hope you understood what is cooperative scheduler and how you can implement that in this particular video. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching.